Sweet. I think we're rolling. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the YouTube channel. Sorry it's been so long since I've posted, but we'll get into that. First and foremost, I hope everyone's doing well. In this video, I just want to catch you up. I want to talk about training, how that's been going, some of the changes I made to my training, and what's coming. I'm going to be competing in about a month, just under actually. So that's super exciting. I also want to talk about some lifestyle changes and update you guys on the acting stuff and on my business as well, online coaching, chalk, all that stuff. All right. So there'll probably be segments, but yeah, there's a theme here. The concept, I think, of this video, I mean, this is more of like a yap session, but if there was a theme, it would be nothing changes if nothing changes, which I feel like could be the theme of every one of my videos, honestly. Um, but just this idea that you have to be intentional and you have to make choices, and you're going to experience and endure the consequences of your decisions. The shitty part sometimes is that you will have to endure the consequences of other people's decisions as well. And so you have to be very intentional about the choices you make. And if there is any dream you have, any aspiration you have, anything that you are pursuing, anything that you even just have this inkling of, just like a spark of passion for, and you choose to pursue it, it's a choice to excel at it. It's a choice to grow. It's a choice to make changes that ultimately will produce better outcomes over time. Like that's a choice. It won't happen by accident. And I struggle with it, but like my mindset is, God will steer, but you have to row. So you can put your faith in him, you can trust in him, but faith without works is dead. It's that, right? The idea that you have to work. You have to make choices and move. Um, and he will direct you if you let him and if you, I think, seek him throughout that process. But you still have to work. Okay, that's the theme. All right. So if you take anything away from this video, that's it. I doubt too many people will tap into this video, but for those of you who do, welcome back. Okay, so training. I just want to update you guys on training, talk about some of the changes I made since nationals, and then how training's been going, and then finally what I expect going into this upcoming competition. So after nationals, I made a coaching regime change. Okay. I was working with John Song for 3 years, maybe. I started working with John Song, I want to say 12 weeks before the very first Sheffield that I did, which I think was 2023. John Song is a phenomenal coach. He has a plethora of athletes who have had great success and continue to have great success. Anthony McNaughton is one of them. He just won his second world championship. He's also, and I would put money on this, the best physical therapist in the sport of powerlifting. Period. 100%. I stand on that 10 toes down. So he's still in my corner. He's still on my team. I have a great relationship with him. I really like John. He's also a very underrated handler. He just has an eye for what an athlete has in the tank, especially if it's his athlete. But yeah, he's great. When I say best physical therapist, best with injuries, all that stuff, I'm telling you the best. So he's still in my corner. And I've completely, I don't know how he feels about it, but I've completely left this relationship open where, maybe there's a chance that we may end up working together again in some programming capacity in the future. But my point is, I switched from John to Thomas Lilly, who I'm going to talk about in a moment. But I was working with John for several years. And at Nationals, obviously things didn't go the way I had wanted them to. Um, but I kept seeing a pattern where I felt like it was my programming that was lacking. Like I felt like I was putting in the work. Um, but the system itself needed to change. Whether or not that's truly true, you'll never know. You just won't. And the reality is it's always going to be a combination of both. It's always going to be a little bit of like the coach's strategy fault, the coach's communication fault, the athlete's execution fault, the athlete's communication fault. Like it's always going to be a blend, okay? But I just kept seeing a pattern where going into meets, I couldn't build momentum and I just wasn't having the success that I'd wanted. And it's one thing to not reach a certain goal. It's another thing to not see progress, right? Because sometimes to make progress, it takes time. So you just have to apply the system over time and you'll get the results, right? It's not going to happen right away. But that's different from applying a system and not making progress, because now that's a definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. So I felt like that's where I was getting to. And so, if nothing else, I just needed to change. Really, it was the programming, the heart of the programming, technique as well, but it was just the heart of the programming that I wanted to try something different. And so that's why I made the choice to leave. And again, the theme, nothing changes if nothing changes. I felt like I was at a point where the risk of keeping my system the same was greater than the risk of changing the system. Okay. And again, when I say system, I'm really just talking about like my training variables predominantly. Okay. So I started working with Thomas Lilly. Now, some context there. Thomas Lilly is a big time coach. He's been huge in the industry for, I don't even know how long now, years, well over a decade. And he's bigger on the untested side, but he has plenty of experience on the IPF side as well, the drug tested side as well. His biggest athlete right now is Colton, the limit breaker, where, if you guys follow powerlifting to any degree outside of just like the IPF bubble, you have to know who this is. He is hands down the best powerlifter to ever live as of right now, in all of history. Okay, not just in the current era, but like all of history. He just totaled 2,700 pounds. He absolutely lifts the standard. Like he's one of those guys. So he's one of Thomas's athletes. Dan Griggs is one of Thomas's athletes. Lily Riley, Theo Maddox, those are all untested lifters. On the IPF side, I'm pretty sure he's had multiple athletes who have podiumed or medaled, et cetera, et cetera. So I first was introduced to Thomas on a podcast I was listening to, an Elite FTS podcast. It was Dave Tate and Thomas Lilly. They were talking about technique, or really, Thomas was talking about his whole standard, really. And I just really liked what he was talking about. My concept, or what I felt like I was lacking as an athlete, I felt like he had that missing puzzle piece, which was this idea of like a golden standard when it comes to technique, when it comes to programming, etc. And so I heard him on this podcast, was really intrigued, messaged him on Instagram, asked him if he could get on mentorship calls with me once a week, and I paid him for those calls. Um, and he said yes. We basically got on a mentorship call every single week for like 6 to 8 months. So I was building a relationship with him and building rapport under like a mentorship umbrella, long before I chose to change my coaching regime after nationals. Okay, so it wasn't like a sort of random switch. This wasn't like something that wasn't calculated, so to speak. So I just built a good relationship with Thomas, and by the way, Thomas was nothing but understanding about the fact that I had a very strong working relationship with John, and I made that very clear in the emails and all that stuff. Like, I'm not looking to leave my, or who was at the time my current coach. Like, I wasn't looking to make that change just yet. I just really was looking for mentorship stuff. And so we would talk about business, we would talk about training, we would talk about my athletes, we would talk about my own training, his training, all that stuff. And so I just found it was really helpful. Fast forward, nationals happens, and then I kind of have like this decision to make, really. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I am loyal to the vision. I am loyal to the goal, to the mission. I understand that people, places, things enter and exit your life like seasons. There are some people, places, things that will be in your life for a lifetime. Those are staples, right? Those are things that simply are unchanging, unwavering. They're part of you. And you are blessed beyond belief if you can count on even just one hand a number of people who are like that in your life, who stick with you for a lifetime, in any capacity, doesn't matter. And so I I value loyalty, but my loyalty is to my vision and to my mission. And when I compete and when I train, like, I'm competing to be the absolute best in the world. And I take that seriously. Some people don't. I take that very seriously. And so what that means to me is and I say we because it's plural, it's a team. We have to be aligned on this vision. It can't just be, oh yeah, of course, I want to be a world champion and my coach wants me to be a world champion. That's fucking bare minimum. It has to go way beyond that. It has to be, I will become a world champion, and my coach has to have it in their mind. That motherfucker, I will do whatever it takes to make him a world champion. Within ethical bounds, I will make that man a world champion. So help me God. Like, that's how it's got to be. Because then you move different. you troubleshoot differently, you communicate differently, you care that much more because it's your team. And that's something that's challenging with powerlifting because no coach can make a living off of one athlete. You can't, right? Whereas look at every other sport. Could you imagine if Bill Belichick was coaching the Patriots but then also coaching the Packers? It just you can't fucking do that. You know what I mean? And so in powerlifting, it's a weird thing. So I need my team to be full, like all in and fully aligned. And that's not to say any of the coaches I've worked with in the past weren't like that. It just means that that's my perspective. I'm just giving you context as to how I made this decision, and how I move and how I will continue to make decisions. I am very loyal to the mission. The mission is to become a world champion. The mission is to become a multi-weight class, multi-time world champion. The mission is to become indisputably the absolute best powerlifter. And so, and it's not even about the sport. I don't give a fuck. I care about like proving to myself that I have what it takes to be the absolute best, to be the strongest. I want to see just how fucking far I can push myself. I know my potential. I feel it in my bones. I was born to be great. So I want to see. Let's see if what I believe is true. And so that's the mission. So that's what I'm loyal to. So when I start to see like, okay, fuck, I'm not getting close to that. I'm not accomplishing that. I've stalled. I have to make a choice because otherwise I have to live with the consequences of not making that choice because not making a choice is still a choice. And so that is why ultimately I decided to switch coaches. Okay. Again, nothing against anybody involved. Like, I have a great relationship again with John. I think he's great. I'd have no problem working with him again in the future from a programming perspective, but I still work with him on a PT perspective. I still refer all of my clients to him if they need physical therapy work when my new app launches, which we'll talk about, and that just the whole business is changing. But I'm gonna pay him to if as long as he says yes, which I don't think will be an issue because he's collaborated with stuff with me in the past. Um, but I'm gonna have him build out an entire course for all the PT work for athletes who are trying to self rehab and stuff. Point is, there's a lot of relationship there. That there's a lot of relationship capital, so that's not gone anywhere. This is like it's just purely business. So that's the context as to why I made the choice that I made in terms of making a change training wise. I truly do feel like it was a programming thing and potentially technique stuff as well. And the other thing I value too is I'm kind of switching gears here. Thomas, I think because of the amount of experience he has in the space, he has a lot of experience coaching a big number of athletes, but also athletes at the top level, at the bottom, everywhere in between. But he has this standard, which I really appreciate. I think that we over individualize now in the sport, even and like the justification is at the elite level you need to over individualize, and I think that individualization is very important at every level, but not so much so that it completely changed like the philosophy, the literal bedrock of your coaching has to change. Like, I don't think that that should be the case. Like, I should be able to look at what you've built and be able to see, I see this is the phase you're in, this is the goal of this. Everything has a purpose. Like, I should be able to discern that from what I'm looking at. And I think you know, I spent a lot of time in the IPF, and I'm very, I know everybody in the IPF, and they're all great people, whatever. But it's a lot of regurgitation. It's a lot of like the same stuff. A lot of the IPF coaches talk to each other, learn from each other, do business with each other, which is great. But the problem then is that like everything's influenced by each other. So you end up with like this mishmash of like a variation of the same fucking thing. And so I was like, you know what? I kind of just want to try something different. And I did appreciate how Thomas has like a golden standard, not just for technique, but for programming to a degree. And there's something like kind of comforting about that because then I know like, okay, this is what he has found to work the most. This is what he's found to be most effective for the most people. And so, and it's a standard, right? There will be some individualization as time goes on, but it's a standardized procedure. And so I can trust in that. Like, okay, at least I know. And here's really the thing. Let's say in 6 months, I make zero progress. Then I can definitively say that standard of programming, that system does not work, or at least does not work for me because it's literally like a it's a standard. It's a standard system that I can point to, as opposed to it just being this mishmash of shit. Because then you start to think to yourself like, oh well, it could have just been this aspect of the program or this aspect of the program, and I'm telling you, bro, I've spent so many years going into the minutia of every little fucking thing, and it's ridiculous. And we're squatting, benching, and deadlifting. It shouldn't be that fucking difficult to make progress. So I don't know. Before I get off on a tangent, yeah, I appreciate that about Thomas, how he comes in with a non-IPF approach. Um, and just thinks a little bit differently. Also, too, I think he's very reputable, aside from just the fact that he's built a massive business over in Australia, a massive powerlifting federation over in Australia. He's owned multiple gyms. He's got Zero. Obviously, that's his main company. And but he's also, when I went down the rabbit hole after listening to him on the Elite FTS podcast, I found him on a bunch of other podcasts. RTS podcast, which is a very reputable, like Gustav, one of my favorite lifters in powerlifting, is coached by Mike from RTS, the owner and founder of RTS. Like, if Thomas Lilly is on a podcast with Mike and they're debating programming, debating technique, even if they disagree with each other, just the fact that he would be on the podcast with Mike tells me that Mike respects Thomas enough to have him there, right? Like, the pedigree is there. So my point is, there were a couple of different things that made me kind of choose, Thomas. Um, but yeah, that's the choice that I made. That's why I made it. That's where I'm at right now. Thomas and I, basically, we did a trial of like 2 training blocks. Things went decently well. And I basically said to myself, I was like, no matter what, I want to compete more frequently. Um, but I also want to give myself more opportunities to see if what we are doing is working. And that's a really big one. And I tried to do that um, before last nationals. SBD Austin was going to be a meet that I did that was supposed to basically tell me if we've been making progress when I was working with John. And it kind of ended up being a perfect storm at that time because I was invited to give a keynote speech at a greatness conference over in San Antonio, Texas, which was a phenomenal opportunity. But, giving a speech like that to a room full of executives, CEOs, entrepreneurs, doctors, lawyers, you got to be professional. You got to know your shit. You want to do well, right? And so the way I approach everything, the way I approach one thing is how I approach everything. I gave 110% to that. That meant, dude, I wrote like a fucking 10-page speech, right? Because it was a 35 or 45-minute keynote. So it was like 10, 15-page speech. I had to memorize that whole fucking thing. Not only just memorize it, but really rehearse it, practice it, make sure I knew my beats, knew my cues. Everything was just, that takes a lot of effort in addition to all the other stuff that I do in my life. So it kind of was like, you know what? SBD Austin, the meet, was like 2 days after that conference. I was like, you know what? Let me just, I can't do SBD Austin. Like, let me just focus on this. It's a local meet. I can't get anything out of this local meet. It's not really worth it. But also, too, my training was going fucking terribly. That's just the reality. Like, it really wasn't going well. And so I knew I wasn't going to do well at the meet. And so it was like, you know? And so I didn't even really get to have that shot to see if what was happening or what we were doing was working going into nationals, because it wasn't working going into SBD Austin, and then I didn't do SBD Austin. So I really want to make sure that it's like, okay, no, I have a meet here that I am doing before nationals at about the halfway point that is going to solidify whether or not I keep going with this system. That doesn't necessarily mean changing coaches. It just means, okay, what we just did for the past fucking 6 months, 4 months, whatever, didn't work. So what's your idea, coach? Like, what can we change? What do you think is, is it me? Is it you? What's going on? At least we can have that conversation, because we are forced to have an outcome here. And by the way, a positive outcome doesn't necessarily mean PRing. It just, it just means that there's progress. There's progress in some way. And there's a lot of things that can define progress as a powerlifter. But usually it's just weight lifted, standard of execution. It's really usually just those two things. So that kind of leads me into how training is going now. So training actually is going pretty well. It's tough for me to tell because of the style of programming. I train 4 days a week. I squat and then do a barbell RDL and then do lower accessories on Monday. Tuesday, I do competition bench work, and then I do upper accessories. Wednesday, I usually take off. And then Thursday, I do competition deadlift, and then I do like a leg press. Or if it's earlier in the prep, I was doing like a squat machine. And then I do more lower accessories. And then Friday is close grip bench, and then a bunch of upper accessories. I have been taking a heavier single on that day too, just to kind of have more frequent heavy exposure, which I think has really helped. And that was Thomas's idea. So I thought that that's been good. Bench has been going really, really, really well. Much better than I expected. Um, Squats and deadlifts are medium. Like I'm hitting numbers that I've definitely hit before, and things have been hard. But the amount of work that I do, guys, like the amount of volume and just sheer fatigue that I'm carrying, like almost all the time, it's crazy. So, like, yes, I only train 4 days a week, but I train hard every single one of those days. It's like 1 to 2 RIR basically every single week for 4 weeks, and then I have a deload week. So it's not easy. It's not RPE based. I get load ranges with a rep range and with an RIR cap. But yeah, I mean it's hard. So all things considered, I mean if I had to guess, I'm probably around the strongest I've been, maybe just slightly under, which is good because here's what I will say. At the very least, I do think I've been able to create momentum from block to block, which is important because I haven't been able to do that over the past like really 3 years, to be honest with you. A couple of years, I shouldn't say all three. Um, so there was probably one stint going into my second to last nationals when we competed in Atlanta that I had some quality momentum for about 2 to 3 blocks, and then almost fucking won, almost total 922.5 there. So training's going well, but it's still too early to tell. I'm nowhere near peaked. I'm still carrying a fuck ton of fatigue, and yeah. So my numbers this week, for example, I hit 690 double on squat. I hit a 452 double on bench, and then I hit 705 for a single. Um, which, if I'm being honest with you, was supposed to be 2 to 4 reps. But the way that Thomas programmed it was he wanted me to take a single at the working weight with sumo and then do a conventional for 2 to 4 reps. And I got stapled to conventional. I'm just too shot. I'm just too shot. Too beat. I kind of knew it coming in. I could have waited maybe one extra day to recover, but I don't think it would have made a difference. I was just too shot going into the day. So yeah, so we'll see what his feedback is, but overall, like things are pretty good because, like, truthfully, in previous preps, I'd be lucky if I was hitting some of these numbers, 8 weeks out, or 6 weeks out, 7 weeks out for singles, so yeah, so we will see. I am very excited to see how things kind of shape up at the meet. I know that I'm carrying a lot of fatigue, so I'm very curious to see how we peak, plain and simple, you know. Um, yeah, that's really all there is to it. So I think training is going really, really well. I have definitely hit some volume PRs on deadlift for sure. Bench, I'm almost there on some volume PRs, almost. But with the change in technique, it kind of makes sense. I'm much happier with the technique I'm using for bench now, which is great. Deadlift is tricky. Deadlift is tricky because now I'm carrying so much fatigue that it's so hard to know. But squat, we've made some great improvements to technique as well, which is important. So overall, I'm pretty excited. I compete August 30th at the 110% Rising Tide meet. Um, yeah, I think it's in Philly. First meet I can drive to since my very first meet that I've ever done. Um, the first and only meet I've ever been able to just drive to was New Jersey States in 2019, and ever since then I was doing stuff that I had to fly to, and now I get to drive to this one. So that'll be fun. My weight's on point. I've been like 210 to 212, which is not a hard cut really. Just sauna and do a decent recomp, and we'll be good to go. Cardio wise, I try to get 8,500 steps a day, which is hard for me, believe it or not. I live a very sedentary lifestyle. I don't have a lot of like reasons to walk around. Like I'll talk about it in a little bit, but like where I live and stuff. Like I live in a city now, and I guess like I can walk around and shit, but it's not like I live in like fucking Laguna Beach, San Diego, or even like down in Florida where it's like the ocean. You can walk along the ocean. It's beautiful out all the time and all stuff like that's not my lifestyle just yet. I'm a little pissed off about it, but we'll get there. But yeah, so I try to hit 8,500 steps a day. 4 to 5 days a week, I use a 30-pound vest to get on an incline at about 10 or 11 and walk at like a 2.7 to 3.0 speed for 31 minutes. It's my zone 2 cardio. So I do that. And then I have been doing HIIT training on Saturdays or Sundays. Literally is just 15-second sprints on an air bike with like a minute or two off. But I'm probably going to put a stop to that for the peak. Not that I think it's really hurting my squats or anything like that, but just because the suck is so bad right now and like things are so heavy and I'm always so tired and stuff. If I can just get myself to like recover just a little bit more, that'd be great, you know. And so um, we'll see. I may keep the bike in, but I probably will end up taking it out, and then I'll just put it back in after the meet. So in terms of the goals for the meet, to kind of wrap up all of training, my goals for the meet. Thomas wants to hit baseline numbers, meaning he wants to take my best numbers from every meet I've done and put them all together in one meet because I have yet to do that. So a 771 deadlift, a 765 squat, and like a 492 bench. If we put all of them together in a meet, I don't know what the fuck that would be. 925 maybe 930. I don't know. So that's like what he's looking for out of this meet. Personally, I am looking to see if his training works, if the changes we've made has worked. And intuitively, I will know. Um, but yeah, I will definitely be looking to see like, okay, like, was this the right change? You know, and that way I have information to work with in building up for nationals. You know, absolute worst case, we shit the bed. I don't do well at all. Um, and then I have to make a decision and say like, okay, do I want to continue to work on this, or work with Thomas and or work even just with this style of training, going to nationals and take that risk? Do I want to try different? You know what I mean? Like, you know, so I don't think that's going to happen, but that's like worst case. And then best case is like, holy shit, we hit PRs on everything. And we had the biggest meet, and now we can ride that momentum going into nationals. And I know that everything we did building up to this meet worked, and I've got even more time to build into that. So fuck yeah, like we're going to be in a really good spot, which is what I expect to happen, truthfully. So yeah, so to me, my goal for this meet really is to total like 925 to 930. If I have more on the day, great. You know, what really kind of holds me back is just my deadlift, dude. Like, you know, if I, it's kind of easy to total 930 when, you know, you have the ability or the proportions to pull over 800 consistently. Not to mention the new Alico bar is ridiculously advantageous for pullers and disadvantageous for squatters, which, like, I'm not one to bitch about equipment. All right, I'm not complaining about it. It is what it is. But bro, the fucking thing, if you watched Worlds, everybody is like this, and on with weights that it shouldn't really be like that. 310, 683 should not make me fucking shake like that at all. And yet that's what I was seeing. 330, yeah, maybe. You know, 340, 345, okay, sure. You know, but and then you watch people deadlift, it literally looks like a deadlift bar. How much slack they get is crazy. So whatever. That's besides the point. Either way, I need to, it doesn't, none of that impacts me. I need to simply deadlift well over 800, squat over 800, and bench well over 500. So I am honestly very, very confident in like there's just simply with the amount of work I've done over the past, like basically since nationals with this style of training, there is no way I haven't gotten stronger. There's just no way. It's just literally not fucking possible. So I'm very excited to see what the peak does, and we'll see how we do, man. But obviously, we've worked really hard on improving my standards when it comes to my training, and we've worked really hard to improve my strength when it comes to my training. So that's the training update. That's that. Um, yeah. Okay. Cool. Moving on. So, um, acting. Super exciting. I can now finally announce it. I can't show you any pictures yet, but I can finally say what it is. I started taking classes a year ago. Um, Again, how I do one thing is how I do everything. The way I felt about powerlifting when I first started, like I was born to be a world champion. I could just feel it. I feel like that with acting, but times 10. It's crazy. I just know I was meant to be Marvel's next Wolverine. I just know. I'm sorry. I just know I was meant to be all the way up there with Matt Damon, with Cillian Murphy, with Tom Hardy. Like, I just know. I can feel it. And so it's not a matter of if, just a matter of when. And so, I've hustled, I've gone all in, and by the grace of God, I signed with a management company. So I did a scene through the school that I was taking classes at before I moved down to downtown Stanford, which is where I live now, which I'll talk about in a little bit. Um, did a scene, manager saw it, liked it enough, got an interview with them, self taped for them, signed with them, and that manager, his role, he basically just sends me auditions. Basically, what happens, I submitted an audition for the show Power, which is a really big show. This one's called Power Origins. It's essentially going to be the prequel to the Power series, and and I booked a role, co-star role. I had not too many lines. I had a few lines, but I'm basically like this SWAT team leader. And that's all I can say. But I did book a role on Power Origins. I'm in one of the final episodes of the series, episode 117. And yeah, man, it was a great experience, really cool. And it's awesome, man. It's awesome to see things kind of come to fruition. It's an interesting industry because it's not a meritocracy. It's not like, well, if you do this, then you can earn this, and if you do this, you can earn this. It's not really like that. Um, so, you never know when your next job is going to come, but man, I have faith, dude. I really do have faith. And of course, I just am doing everything I can on my end to be as marketable as possible. So, getting my demo reel together, I've got my headshots done, of course, trying to build my credits, all that shit. But the Power Show that's a really big production. And so, for that to be my first one, and honestly, man, like, I'm so grateful for that opportunity. We had 4 night shoots and 1 day shoot. So, lots of filming experience, but also, too, like, excuse me, on set I just felt like I should be the lead. Like I felt like, man, I could fucking do this. Like I could totally be the lead. I could totally be the guy, and so I'm ready for more. I just am. I'm ready for more. Um, and the grind doesn't stop. So I'm working on the demo reel. I've got like 5 scenes written. It's gonna be expensive and a bitch to shoot and produce, but we'll do that. I'm working on voice acting demo reel. And then I'm also always in classes. So tonight I had a 3.5 hour accents class. Um, Last night I was in a class with a CD, a casting director. She usually just does like sci-fi fantasy stuff. So just kind of hustling, but I know my lane. I know what the projects are that I'm trying to be a part of, and I know where I'm headed, man. I know where I'm headed. So that's super exciting. That's been really really cool. And yeah, in terms of fuck, let me think. Let me think. In terms of lifestyle stuff, so I moved to downtown Stanford with Heidi. And at first, I wasn't sure if I was really gonna like it. Honestly, Stanford was the last fucking place. I didn't grow up thinking like, oh, I can't wait to move to Connecticut. Oh my fucking god, yeah, Connecticut. I still feel like Connecticut is too vanilla for me. I just don't. I just don't. I don't like. I don't. I'm not a Connecticut guy. I'm sorry. I'm originally from the Bronx, New York, and then I moved to Jersey. I don't love Jersey, but I can appreciate Jersey. Connecticut, to me, what does it have? I don't know. I'm not trying to talk shit. In fact, you know what? I can talk shit because I live here. I'm a resident. I'm just saying. I don't know. Whatever. It's fine. But what's cool though is that we're in a 2 unit corner unit 2 bedroom apartment. We've converted one into the office. Unfortunately, it's dark, so you can't see, but I have a phenomenal view. Maybe I'll throw a picture up in here of the city and then the water on that side, which is great. I needed that. I'm a very visual person, and that's what I wanted. And then we got the other bedroom. It's just our bed. We got 2 baths. But it's nice. Thing is, it's a 10-minute drive to the gym, 20-minute drive to another location of the same gym chain that has better deadlift platforms, walking distance to coffee shops and whatever the fuck. And then, I really wanted, I like the ocean. I like the sun. I love California weather. I love all of that stuff. So to me, it was like either I'm moving out towards LA or I'm staying here. And because of Heidi's job, we stayed here. Obviously, my family, her family. And the reality is, a lot of the acting stuff is now over in Jersey. So, although I am considered bi-coastal in terms of my work, it's really a lot of it's in Jersey. So it kind of worked out, man, because like I'm close to Manhattan, I'm close to Jersey, I'm close to my family. Heidi's close to her family, she's close to work. It kind of worked out. Do I like Stanford? It's okay, it's all right. But this is not a forever spot for me. But it makes sense for building, you know? So that's where I am. Um, and then in terms of business, so the online coaching business is still wherever you guys probably know, like I don't promote it at all. Um, really, I've completely transitioned the business itself. Like, um, I've changed the name, um, and I've gone through the ringer with softwares, man. And I'm at the point now where I've decided, fuck licensing softwares. I'm done with it. I've spent tens of thousands of dollars testing softwares and all this shit. I'm done with it. I'm building from scratch. And from a business side, and I only talk about this because I don't know, I'm kind of like documenting it. I feel like it's kind of cool to talk about. I like talking about entrepreneurship and business. Even if I don't want to exit, I still need to set this up so that it's good for an exit. And by exit, I mean to sell the company. So the idea is I need to create something of real value so that somebody else may say, oh, I'll buy that. That way I can make a good return on it. It becomes a good investment for them, right? So it becomes a win win. But it's difficult to exit a company when you do not own everything vertically and or horizontally. So in other words, if I license the software, my strength book is currently the software I use to host my current training app, right? So I launched with like 2 years ago. And it's okay. But they take like 20% of gross revenue. It's I don't know, it's absurd. But anyway, so it's a good app, good people, but just I don't know, it doesn't really make sense for me. And it's very heavily powerlifting focused. But regardless, every software, by the way, has pros and cons. It's going to have issues and stuff. So, you know, that's just, you have to know that right off the rip. But what was I saying? So I license off of my strength book. Even if I built my business to do, I don't know, $15 million a year in revenue, and whatever the multiple is in my industry, let's say it's 10x, right? So let's say my company now is technically worth like $150 million, right? I am not going to be able to sell it for 150 million because I don't own the software. There's nothing technically proprietary about it, with the exception of the content I've uploaded into the software and then my clientele. And that's it. So, what are they really buying? You know? And so it drastically decreases the value of the company if you can even sell it. Whereas if you have your own software, if you own everything, now all of a sudden it's a lot more appetizing. And that's basically it. That's literally it. So that's one of the biggest reasons why I decided to build from scratch. The other thing is I want complete control over product quality. I am tired. Here's my thing. Ready? This is what I want for this coaching company, especially for the app, because it's more than just the app, but it's really just what I'm saying is really for the app. I want to be able to wake up and be excited to use this app as an athlete. That's number one. Number two, I want to be able to wake up and be excited to use this app as a coach, meaning programming my athletes with it. And number three, I want to be excited to wake up and run the business, right? Meaning it's not a business that's filled with a ton of headaches and all this bullshit, and it lacks automation, it lacks efficiency. Like you don't want to deal with that. I want a business to run. I don't want to be the business. I want a business to run. So that's what I'm building. The only way I can achieve those three things is if I build it myself. So that's what we're doing. We are building everything from scratch. That's why it's been taking forever to finally get something out. But it looks like we'll have a MVP model ready to go by this weekend, actually. And then looking to have like a very, very soft launch where we just get some beta users in by September 1st. That way we can really hard launch and have everything pristine by January. Now, um, the switch here is I'm not, yes, we're going to cater to powerlifters, but we're not really just catering to power lifters. This is a very luxury premium feel. Um, and I even have something called, so the company is called Threxis. I combined Theseus with Rex. Rex means king in Latin. Theseus was a ancient Greek mythological character, phenomenal warrior and all that. And the idea is just that everyone's on their hero's journey. And fitness, I believe, is like at the epicenter of that. Like what better way to take control of your life, carve out your destiny, transform yourself than through the physical labor of training, you know? And it's something that we can all do. I've seen people with no arms and no legs still work out, still train, still be in shape. So it's possible, you know? Oh, are we still recording? Cool. So point, even my computer is like, yo, fucking stop the yap, dog. Nobody wants to listen to shit for 40 minutes. But anyway, so yeah, so point is Threxis. So I even have something called Threxis for Teams, which is for corporate accounts. Um, definitely going all in on building out the ultimate training experience for everyone. That's what we're looking for. So there'll be stuff in there for everyone. And dude, I can't wait, bro. I'm telling you, no app has the features that we're building into this thing that looks the way it looks. And just as an athlete who's competed at the highest level, I come in with a different type of experience in terms of the data I want to see, in terms of how things are laid out, just everything. So I'm really excited about it. That's what's coming. Yes, there will be tons and tons of programs, but the app will be available for free for everyone just to use. Now, if you want to use our programs or, of course, sign up with one of our coaches, then yes, you will have to pay. But to just simply use the app, track your own workouts, it'll be completely free, which I'm really excited about. Outside of that, the chalk I've put on the back burner. To be completely honest with you, it's a competitive market, but it's also very difficult to differentiate at the product level. I have a phenomenal manufacturer. The quality of my chalk is amazing. It's lab grade, lab made in the U.S. However, because of that, it's very expensive, and um, there are competitors that have the same thing. Just being honest with you. So I'm really just competing on brand at that point, which is fine. Like I can do that. But what's the long term value of that? So unless I can add something to it, maybe a new formula, a new something, it kind of makes it like obsolete. Like it literally feels like, well, unless I'm just trying to like rip people off and make a ton of money, why even do this? So it's on the back burner until I figure that out. That's just the truth. We had chalk blocks in production, but I decided to put a halt on that until I was confident that I could give you guys something that was unique and that was better than what's out there. So yeah, and I know that the chalk that I had sold originally is better than what's out there for sure. But the reality is, if I can get it from a manufacturer, then somebody else can. That's just the truth. So now that I know that, it's like, I'm not big enough to be an exclusive partner with this manufacturer. So it's like, again, I don't know. I like I said, I think the chalk's great. It's a great business. I'm glad that I was able to break into it. I was the first one really to do it in the powerlifting space. And now I see like other people, kind of hopping on the bandwagon, which fine. But I know that like you can't. It's hard to even innovate on the process. First of all, unless you're making it yourself, which these guys are. But if you're making it yourself, fine. But then the other thing comes into play is like, is it legal? Like you can't just throw anything you want in there. Not only do you have to think about the legal ramifications, and I say legal, I mean like IPF regulations. You also have to think about allergies. Like, if you're allergic to some sort of resin or toxin or whatever, you can't just like throw that into the chalk and just say, oh yeah, fuck it. Like this will make it really sticky and the IPF's okay with it. Let's just use it. Well, what if like a third of the powerlifting population, is allergic to this stuff? So there's a lot to think about there. There's a lot to test and stuff. And so really what I'm looking for is either I find a way to heavily differentiate from the product side, or, which isn't necessary, but I would like that, or I have a silent partner who funds it, period. That's basically it. If I can find a silent partner, an investor, then and they're willing to take on the brunt of the capital required for marketing, and for distribution and for what do you call it, inventory, then I will continue to do it. So that's basically what I'm looking out for. So if you're somebody who wants to invest in the company, you can message me. I'd be happy to show you the numbers and stuff. But yeah, so Iron Claw still exists. We're still trying to grow, but I'm also, oh, this was the other thing I forgot to mention. I'm also trying to innovate on like the actual tub that holds the chalk. I think the bag is fine, but I've had several people say that the resealable bag, it either works really well or it doesn't. And unfortunately, that's very hit or miss. Like, it's hard to product quality control over the resealable bags. Especially because it depends on how you keep it, where you keep it, all that shit. So I want to come out with something that's really cool. I originally I sampled. I actually have them in here in my closet. These like coffee tins, like with the screw cap, really cool, and you can like try to shake it out. So that was a route that I was going to go, as opposed to doing a bag. But yeah, but this is all very expensive. So again, when you're thinking like, okay, trying to be a phenomenal actor, trying to be a phenomenal world champion powerlifter, trying to build what's already been generating the majority of my revenue over the past few years, the business that I've been building for a while now, that I know really well, which is the online coaching. When you're thinking about capital and putting that places, you have to really weigh the pros and cons. So that's where we're at with that. I'm trying to think if there's like literally fucking anything else. Um, I think that's it, dude. I think that's enough for this video. We're at 45 minutes already. I'm probably gonna upload this straight up as it is, but yeah, man, yeah. So lots of changes. Um, you know, I've had a weird relationship with powerlifting recently. Um, I don't love the sport. It's a very small sport. It's a very cultish sport. People praise the culture of it. I don't know what the fuck they're praising. I mean, yeah, there's some great people and some great things that come from it, but there's also a lot of bad. And I've seen a lot of that bad. I've experienced a lot of that bad. And it's just very small and it's not very rewarding in a lot of ways. And so when I started powerlifting, I didn't care about the sport at all. Selfishly, I did it for me. I did it to become the absolute fucking best. Period. That's all I care about. Just becoming a world champion. Powerlifting just happened to be the vehicle. And along my way as a powerlifter, I started to drink the Kool-Aid. I started to buy into everything that everybody was saying and trust everyone's word over my own and my own gut instinct and stuff. And now, like that, if picture like a bell curve, started here, experienced that, and now I'm back to here where it's like, man, fuck all this shit, dog. I wanna lift heavy and I wanna be the fucking best, and fuck everything else. And so it's a weird place to be in because it's a peaceful place, but at the same time, it's like I don't give a fuck, you know. And it's not very rewarding yet. Like the most rewarding thing about powerlifting right now, in my opinion, externally, is stepping on the Sheffield platform in front of thousands of people. That is a surreal experience, and I will do that again. I mean, it's phenomenal. I genuinely, actually, was on my vision board. It was a goal of mine to perform in front of 80,000 people live, whether that's as a musician, as a public speaker and orator, or an athlete, most likely an athlete. So that's a dream of mine. But I'm telling you, man, like I don't know. Like it's not super super rewarding financially, basically zero. Um, but the caveat is it's very doable to become really fucking good, if not the best, while also doing a bunch of other things. And what are the sports like that? So that's the trade off. But I've had a weird relationship with powerlifting. It's just like I don't know. It's tough. I'm driven to be the absolute best, but do I truly care about like the sport of powerlifting? I don't know. It's hard. It's hard to say. Um, but either way, man, I am very, very, very eager to compete again and do what hasn't been done. It's that simple. I straight up, I just want to be the absolute fucking best, and I believe I have what it takes to do so. And yeah, yeah, man. So we keep our head down. We stay in our lane. I don't know what everybody else is up to. I don't really care. I wish everybody else the best, but I'm not really involved in the sport anymore. Even content wise, you guys probably have noticed, definitely on YouTube, I've kind of put content on the back burner because similar to powerlifting, it's like, this is what I was thinking about the other day, and I'll cut it here. Imagine you're the trend twins, right? And I like the trend twins. I follow Chris. I'm like, I like them. I think they're funny. Like, I like their content. What are they going to do in like 10 years, bro? Like, what are they going to do? Like, they're building this crazy social media influence, all this stuff, yes. But, like, are they going to be the trend twins when they're 35? When they're 50? Like what's next? What comes, like, where is this going to get to? Like, where's the future of this? And I just, been thinking about that a lot with even with like social media. It's like, I always want to make content and stuff, but it's like, for what? Like, why? And do people really care? Like, is this actually providing value? You know? And from a business side, dude, you can make so much fucking money. In the fitness industry is dying. And that's partly why I feel like this. The fitness industry has fucking crashed and burned. You have a couple people who are still at the top, but you'll notice that even those people who are at the top have like they've mixed fitness with something else. And most of the big fitness creators that are still crushing it have completely pivoted to something different. Um, but if you're in content and you do like lifestyle stuff, couple shit, cooking shit, like, dude, you can crush it. You can make stupid money every month. But as a fitness creator, you're really not making much. Brands don't really pay anymore. I mean, they pay, but it's not really the same. There are sponsors. You guys probably notice it. Like, you just don't see as much sponsored shit anymore. It's just the nature of business. Things are always changing. Everything's in cycles and stuff. So I think to myself, it's like, all right, like, I'm gonna put all this effort into like posting content, but like, for what? Like to market my own business, yeah, absolutely. To provide value and to communicate and connect with you guys, absolutely. But to like just to do it, just to like I don't know, like I don't know. It's tough. It's tough to say. So like I love the creative side of acting, absolutely. Um, Contents can be a lot of fun to create. Like I love creating YouTube content. Creating TikToks is fun because it's very low barrier. But Instagram, especially, it's like it feels like a highlight reel, and it's like I don't know. It's just like doesn't it get old? Like I'm the type of person where it's like, okay, boom, fucking achieve that. What's next? What's next? What's next? I don't like the feeling of average. I don't feel like the feeling of staying the same. And no shade at all to any of like the fitness creators or really like the powerlifter creators in our world, but like they've just been doing the same shit for years. They get paid from their sponsors. They make cool edits, cool videos, and that's it. Is that it? Like, is that all that's in it for me? Like, that's my life for the next fucking how long? 30 years, 60 years until one day it's like, okay, fuck it, call it a day. Like, that's what? I don't want that. I want fucking whatever. I want as high as I can go, as crazy of an experience as I can go. I want to go all in on all this shit, and I want to be just, I want this crazy legacy, and I just don't see making Instagram edits as like the way to do that. So, I'm still trying to figure out my way with the content again and stay active and stay while still providing value because like I feel fulfilled when I provide value. I like making videos like this. I like doing training vlogs. I do like some of the educational stuff, but bro, with powerlifting, man, there's only so many ways you can talk about squatting, benching, and deadlifting. It's three fucking movements, dude. We are overcomplicating the shit out of it. It ain't that fucking deep, dog, you know? I mean, you want to master the craft, absolutely, but I just feel like it's gotten to a point now where it's like, bro, we're saying the same shit over and over and over again, bro. Like uh, whatever. That's a whole nother fucking topic. But I like making YouTube videos. So I guess we're going to cut it there. We're going to upload this fucking almost hour long YouTube video. Anybody who watches this shit, thank you. I love you. And it means a lot to me that you would stick around and watch it. I will try to post more training vlogs, post more content like this. This is the stuff that I actually enjoy. This stuff that's very fulfilling for me. Just posting like highlight reel shit on Instagram isn't super fulfilling. It feels actually more like egotistical in a way. So maybe I'll start posting more organic stuff on there. But TikTok is kind of hit and miss because like you follow trends if you want to go viral. Providing value is kind of hard. But like it's also a very shotgun approach. It's a birdshot shotgun approach. It's like boom, spam this shit with like 10 different things, just like whatever comes to mind. Provide value where you can, have fun where you can, and it's just you be you. And the platform just does its thing. Instagram is the tricky one, but yeah. Anyway, okay. Thank you guys for watching. All right, catch you next time.